Hello, my CA warriors. Punarvas Jaikumar here. I'm a chartered accountant, passionate trainer. In the last 10 years, I've trained over 15,000 CA students. I am partnering with Unacademy for CA Foundation in this very own 100% English CA Foundation channel by Unacademy. So before we start today's session, my dear friends, I just want to talk to you a couple of minutes about something very important. So please listen in. First of all, please join my Telegram channel. It's called t.me/pjlaw. In this, I'll be giving you a lot of updates. I'll be sharing notes. I'll be sharing quizzes. There'll be a lot of polls, and I will get to interact with each of you. So if you are a CA Foundation student, and if you prefer learning in 100% English, join my Unacademy CA Foundation channel, PJ Law. In Unacademy, we have two very important and interesting subscription packages. The first one is called as Iconic. The second one is called as Plus. There is personal guidance, live classes, weekly tests, proper study planner, study material, expert guidelines, test analysis. All other things will take care. You just study. Rather than you doing everything in life, allow us to do something for you. Everything will take care, and all you need to do, my dear friends, is just study. We have India's best educators on Unacademy, and you should go in for an Unacademy subscription. Sir, let me try out first. Please download the Unacademy app, register yourself, and go through the so many wonderful educators videos that they have put up, so that you can definitely crack it. So two packages. One is called the Plus package. So 24 months package, 12 months package, 6 months package, 3 months package. You can see the rates here. Sir, what is Plus? In CA Foundation subscription called as Plus, you have India's best educators, interactive live classes, structured courses and PDFs, live tests and quizzes. Sir, I want something more. I want a personal coach. I want printed books. No problem, dear friends. You can go for the Iconic subscription. Everything you get the same as the Plus subscription, but two extra things: personal coach and printed books as well. And what is it that is blinking down? If you use my code PJSirLaw, you will get 10% discount. So guys, what are you waiting for? Step number 1, go to Unacademy Learning app. Step number 2, hit install. That's it. That's all you need to do. And go to CA Foundation Plus and check out these two subscription plans, Plus and Iconic. I told you the difference. My personal suggestion would be go with the 24 months plan. Why? I'll tell you why. Because with the Iconic subscription, you will get 12 months. There is a combo, guys. CA Foundation and Intermediate. 12 months combo, 24 months combo. If you take the 24 months combo, the good thing is you'll also get time to study Intermediate also. So we have the CA Foundation and Inter combo both in Plus as well as Iconic. And dear friends, there is something called as Unacademy Combat Scholarship Test every Sunday at 12 p.m. Participate in the quiz, and if you get good results, if your rank is 1 to 3, then 4 to 10, 11 to 50, and 51 to 200, amazing scholarships. You're getting 50% off, 25% off. Enroll now. The code would be PJSirLaw. And dear friends, if you go to my channel on Unacademy, I'll tell you more about it. Before that, as I told you, limited time offer. If you buy for 12 months, you'll get 2 months free. Same for both the Iconic and the Plus subscription. But I would request you go for the 24 months plan, because you'll get not only foundation, but also time to finish your CA Inter. Please guys, follow me on unacademy.com/Punarvas Jaikumar. Please do that. Please follow me. It will help me also. And you obviously can check out all the special classes that I've released. So guys, in the last concept capsule series, we were discussing the other types of companies. We had finished private and public, and now we'll have to go to small company and OPC. And my dear friends, in small company and OPC, there have been amendments, so to speak, right? So that's why we need to see the amendment material which is there in the institute material itself. This is applicable for the November examination. So they have changed the definition slightly and the meaning of one person company as well as a small company. Mind you, one person company and small company, both of them are private companies. That is what we need to understand. One person company and small company, first of all, both of them are what? They are small companies. So that part is absolutely clear. Both of them must be small companies. If they are not small companies, it will not work. If they are not private companies, both of them are private companies, sorry. If they are not private companies, it will not work. Both these companies, that is OPC and SC, one person company, that is OPC, and SC. SC is small company. Both of these companies must be what, guys? Private. So what is private company? We just discussed what is private company in the first session, the first types of companies, part 1. We had discussed that the private company would be in which by the articles of association restricts, limits and prohibits. Restrict the right to transfer shares, limits the number of member to 200, and then prohibits the issue of shares. This is what we had seen. So private company, this is the scene. Public company, we will see that. Now private company, one person company OPC and SC, small company. What is one person company? What is small company? We'll see now. One person company, very simple guys. One person company is a company which only has one person as a member. It's a very peculiar sort of company in which, guys, again OPC came into force because there were a lot of people who were having these unincorporated businesses, sole proprietorships. In order to encourage the sole proprietorship to come on board fully, they started the concept of one person company. So one person company is what? In which only one person acts as a member. Very, very simple. Then we have small company. So what is small company? Small company is also a private company, but small company has two things. One, paid up capital limit varies and turnover is different. Paid up capital means what, guys? Equity share capital and preference share capital. Paid up capital is one, then turnover is the other part. Correct? So what is the paid up capital and turnover? Let us see. So if you see, with effect from 1st April 2021, so small company is defined into clause 85 with effect from 1st April 2021. They have changed the definition of small company and OPC. They have slightly changed the meaning. We'll have to see as in who can be OPC and all that. But small company now, what all? See, paid up capital will be not exceeding 2 crores and turnover 20 crores. So guys, what do you mean by small company? Paid up share capital will be less than or equal to 2 crores and turnover will be less than or equal to 20 crores. So small company, guys, is a private company in which paid up capital is less than or equal to 2 CR and both the conditions must be satisfied, my dear friends. Both the conditions must be satisfied. Paid up capital is less than or equal to 2 CR and turnover. Turnover is all the sales and sale of goods and sale of services that you have made. Either cash sales or credit sales, both put together that you have made. Paid up capital less than or equal to 2 CR, turnover less than or equal to 20 CR. Paid up capital less than or equal to 2 CR, turnover less than or equal to 20 crore. Both are there. Both the conditions must be satisfied. If paid up capital is 3 crore, turnover is 10 crore, not a small company. If paid up capital is 7 crore, turnover is 10 lakhs, not a small company. And mind you guys, don't get confused. If it's a if it's a private company, they always use the word private limited. Private company always uses the words private limited. And public company uses the word limited. So you can say X limited. For private company, you say X private limited. For public company, X limited. So in public company, my dear friends, paid up capital, even if it is 1 crore, turnover, even if it is 2 crore, assume both the conditions are satisfied. Both the conditions are satisfied. So what? What is the answer? What is the answer? Both satisfied. Still, it is not a small company, guys, because small company is a private company. Small company. Paid up capital 1 CR, turnover 2 CR. So as I told you, private company has 1% company, small company, and other than 1% company and small company. So this is the amendment, guys. See, this is the amendment. Earlier it was some other limit. This is the amendment. Don't see what was there before. Simply you will get unnecessarily confused. So this will be 2 crore 20 crore. It can be extended to 10 crore. 2 crore can be extended to 10 crore tomorrow. Like guys, as of today, 2 crore is okay. 5 years down the line, 2 crore today will not be 2 crore 5 years later. So that time, the government can change the limits. Up to what limit? They can make it 10 crore. They can make it 3 crore, 4 crore, 5 crore, 6 crore. They can make it up to 10 crore, not at all a problem. That is up to the company to do so. That is up to the, what do you say, central government to do so. Central government can increase the limit tomorrow. When I say tomorrow, whenever they want. Similarly, turnover as of now it is 20 crore. 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line, it can change, right? So they can make it up to 100 crore. So 2 CR can go up to 10 CR. 20 CR can go up to 100 CR. So the clause will not apply to what? Holding subsidiary relationship. So guys, if you have a holding company and subsidiary company, if holding company is a private company, subsidiary company is a private company, subsidiary company limit paid up capital and turnover. Paid up capital is less than 2 CR, turnover is less than 20 CR, then this is not called as a small company. For you to be a small company, you should not be associated with some other company. Holding is different, subsidiary is different. It should not be associated with any other company. Should not be associated with any other company. Right? It cannot be a company registered under Section 8. Section 8 company is a company for charitable purpose. So if you are a private limited company for charitable purpose, it is not counted. If you are a private limited company for charitable purpose, etc., you cannot call yourself a small company because it is separately given as a Section 8 company. It is separately given as a what? Section 8 company. Company or body corporate governed by any special act. What are special acts? I already told you, LIC, UTI, etc. So anything governed by a special law, under a special law, company is framed, that can never be called as a small company. So guys, small company will be a pure private company. Means what? It should not be associated with any holding subsidiary relationship. It should not have. Basically, it should be a standalone individual company. And if its paid up capital is less than 10 CR, 2 CR, it can go up to 10 CR. If the paid up capital is if the turnover is less than 20 crore, it can go up to 100 crore. Then it will be called as a small company. Next, if you see OPC here, 1% company. So 2 clause 62 of the Companies Act defines 1% company as a company which has only one person as a member. That's all. 1% company, OPC, is a company which has only one person as a member, nobody else. It has been introduced to encourage entrepreneurship and corporatization of business. So whatever sole proprietary concern you have, if I want to make that a separate legal entity, I can use the route available under OPC. I can use the route available under OPC, 1% company. The liability of the owner here is not restricted, and it extends to the owner's entire assets constituting of official and personal assets, everything. It is very much a private limited company, my dear friends. Now here, significant points. Only one person will be a member. Minimum paid up capital for private company only, it's not there. Why will it be there for this? Not there. The memorandum of OPC shall indicate the name of the person. Now guys, the memorandum of association will also have something called as the nomination clause or the nominee clause. That is, if you die. Guys, we have already discussed members will come, members may go, but company will go on forever. Now, how will this company go on forever if there is only one person in the company and that one person dies? In order to ensure that the company will go on forever, I will insert something called as a nominee clause, nomination clause. So, nomination clause, in the event of the death of the subscriber or his incapacity to contract, in the event of the death of the subscriber or his incapacity to contract, then will he become a member of the company is the question. Will he become a member of the company is the question. Answer is yes, he can become the member of the company. Yes, upon my death, I have to nominate one more person who will become the member of the company. That is the meaning of this. In the event of the subscriber's death or his incapacity to enter into a contract, some other person will become member of the company, and that is called as nomination clause. The other person whose name is given in the memorandum shall give his prior written consent. Guys, I simply can't put some random fellow. I cannot say, if I die, Virat Kohli will become OPC. No. There has to be a prior written consent where he agrees that yes, I will become the member, no problem. Such other person also may be given a right to withdraw his consent. If he doesn't like to become a member, he can withdraw his consent anytime also, not a problem. The member of the OPC can at any time change the name of such other person by giving a notice in writing, and the company shall intimate the same to the registrar, no problem. So I can also change, he can also change, everyone can change the members, not an issue. Any such change in the name of the person shall not be deemed to be an alteration in the memorandum. This one you see the alteration of memorandum, you will understand that when we do MOA, OA. Now guys, this thing has slightly changed. This thing has slightly changed. What has changed? This has been amended. Only a natural person who is an Indian citizen and is resident in India, person who has stayed in India for not less than, this one has changed, guys. I am making the changes in the material itself, it will be easy for you. Only a natural person who is an Indian citizen, whether resident in India or otherwise, and has stayed in India for a period of not less than 120 days. 180 days has become what, guys? $180 days has become 120 days. $180 days has become 120 days. Only a natural person who is an Indian citizen and resident in India, what is other addition, or otherwise. So guys, even a non-resident Indian can become an OPC if that person has stayed in India for minimum 120 days during the immediately preceding financial year. Resident in India means who's permanently in India. But all these years I was abroad. This year I came back. I stayed for, let us say, 120 days means roughly around 4 months. I stayed in India for 5 months, assume. Actually, I am a non-resident Indian, but last year I stayed in India for 5 months. That is 150 days. Tell me, can I start an OPC now? Yes. 2 changes, my dear friends. One is, they are all important. First time ever this can come is in the December 21 exam. 2 changes. Earlier they only said resident. Now they have told resident or otherwise. Means even non-resident is included. Resident is a person who is permanently in India for many years. Who is a non-resident? Suddenly I came to India. I was there in India for almost 4-5 months in the last year. This year can I open an OPC? Answer is yes. Again, the reason for amendment was ease of business. I wanted more and more people to come from outside also to set up business in India. Even they don't want to start a company, it's okay. I wanted them to start a one-person company. Wanted them to start a one-person company. Right? Only a natural person who is an Indian citizen and resident in India, stayed in India for not less than 120 days during the immediately preceding financial year. 120 days or otherwise shall be eligible to incorporate OPC, shall be a nominee. So guys, this is for both OPC as well as nominee. If you are a one-person company, you should be a natural person. Means what? You should be an individual. Can one company open one more OPC? No, you should be an individual. Natural person means individual. Second, you should be a resident also, non-resident also. stayed in India for minimum 120 days in the immediately preceding financial year. Immediately preceding financial year. Financial year means April 1st to March 31st of the next year. And you should be an Indian citizen. You gotta be an Indian citizen. Have to be an Indian citizen. These are the things. Not just that, OPC has to appoint a nominee also, no? Because if OPC dies, nominee has to take over. My dear friends, nominee also same conditions. Nominee also same conditions. Natural person, resident / non-resident, minimum 120 days, Indian citizen. Natural person, resident / non-resident, minimum 120 days in the immediately preceding financial year and should be an Indian citizen. Should be what? An Indian citizen. So that is the change here, this change. So this was the old provision, this is the new provision. Right, I made you change in the material itself, so please study that. So these are the two changes, 120 days otherwise. And guys, one person who has a OPC, like Mr. A, can he have one OPC? Yes. Can he have a second OPC? No way. Okay. Can he be a nominee for some other OPC? Yes. One man can have an OPC. One man can be a nominee of any other OPC. Sir, what if that other OPC, that fellow dies? When other fellow dies, Mr. A will automatically become the member. So now he will have two memberships. That is why he has to vacate in one or he has to close down one. That is only if the other person dies. That's why if that happens somehow, he has to choose only one later. He has to choose only one later. Only a natural person who is an Indian citizen, resident in India, person who has stayed in India for a period of not less than 120 days, shall be a person eligible to incorporate OPC, shall be a nominee for the sole member of the OPC. No person shall be the same. This is given, already discussed. No minor shall become member or nominee of the OPC or can hold share with beneficial interest. Minor cannot be a member, my dear friends. Minor cannot be a member. We know minor cannot be a partner. Similarly, minor cannot be a member of OPC. Minor cannot be a nominee of OPC. Or he cannot hold any shares in the OPC. It cannot be converted into some other company, that is Section 8 company. You are an OPC, you cannot convert to a charitable organization. That is a separate section altogether. This conversion, deleted. See? Conversion of OPC to some other company omitted means what? Deleted. So my dear friends, this point is not there. So all these are features of OPC if they ask you. That's about OPC. Now we will come to other areas of companies. Penalty, fine, etc. Generally, guys, it's very difficult to remember and reproduce in the exam. So you can just go through these points. These points, no, these are penalty points. In the exam, you will definitely forget to write these items. And you'll end up writing wrong figures. Mark my words. I always suggest all my students, penalty points, unless it is very, very, very important, you can just go through those points and try to remember them. These are just if you break the law, how much money you have to pay. So fine 10,000 rupees and every fine of 1,000 rupees every day you need to pay. Now guys, now based on the control, important. Now we have to discuss the concept of holding company, subsidiary company. Subsidiary can have one more subsidiary company. This can have one more subsidiary company. And maybe S1 has invested in some other company called A. So I have to explain what is holding company. 2 clause 46. These three subsidiary. 2 clause 87. This is associate company. 2 clause 6. So what are the points is what we need to understand. Holding, subsidiary, associate. This is based on the control. Based on control, we have holding, subsidiary, associate. And also we have a concept of government company. Government company also we need to see. So based on the control, my dear friends, we have the holding company, subsidiary company, associate company, subsidiary 1, 2, 3, and of course associate company. And we also have the concept of government company, because that also speaks about control. Let's just stick to holding and subsidiary relationships right now. So guys, for you to be called as a subsidiary company, for you to be called as a subsidiary company, the other company called as the holding company should have, first of all, more than half, more than 50% of the total voting power. Mind you, it is not subscribed share capital, it is not issued share capital, it is not paid up share capital. It is what? Total voting power. If one company H has more than half of the total voting power of S, then S is called as the subsidiary of H. What is total voting power? Basically voting rights. And voting rights are given to what cases? What shares? Only if you have equity share capital. Only if you have equity share capital. Equity share capital. So it is not subscribed, not issued, not paid up. Because paid up will have equity and preference. This will have equity and preference. This will have equity and preference. It is not total share capital also, equity and preference, only total voting power, voting rights that come through equity share capital. Voting rights that come through equity share capital. Voting rights that come through equity share capital. Where will it come? Equity share capital. That's it. So guys, if a company called H has more than 50% of total voting power of a company called S, if a company H has more than 50% of a company called S, then S is called as the subsidiary company of H. Very simple. S is called as the subsidiary company of H. More than half is what we need to see. More than half of the total voting power. Now let us say one more example. H has just, let's say, 10%. That's all. 10% of the total voting power. On the other hand, H has given S 50 crore loan. As per the loan agreement, they have told, since I have given you so much money, I will appoint 6 out of 10 directors on your board. S's board of directors are 10. So this fellow is telling, I will appoint 6 out of 10 directors in your company. So guys, when you tell that I have appointed 6 out of 10 directors in your company via a loan agreement, is H Limited still called as the holding company? Is H Limited still called as the holding company? What do you think? Answer is yes, because one part is the shareholding route, other part is control route. Here I am controlling the composition of the board of directors. I am controlling what? The composition of the board of directors. Since I am controlling the composition of board of directors, I am a holding company. It is either voting power, not and or control. Read the definition, you'll understand. Read this. Please read. Take 1 minute and read it. One more example to make you understand the second point. Holding company. S1 has 60% share. S1 in S2 has 40% share. H in S2 directly. H in S2 directly has 40% share. H has 60% share in S1. S1 has 40% share in S2. And H has overall 40% share in S2. Is S1 a subsidiary of H? Yes. Is S2 a subsidiary of S1? No. Why? It is less than 40, less than 50%, 50, more than 50% is subsidiary. It is very much less than 50%. So, no. The next question is S2 subsidiary of H? Directly, H is holding how much in S2? 40%. Directly, H is holding how much in S2? 40%. Indirectly, how much are they holding? Directly, H is holding in S2 40%. Indirectly, 60% of 40%. 24%. 60% of 40%, 24%. Totally, they are holding 54%. So H is holding indirectly in S2 24%, directly 40%, overall 54%. So tell me, is S2 a subsidiary of H? The answer is yes. Simple mathematics. That is the meaning here. Either at its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries. Either at its own either at its own or subsidiaries. At its own means on its own, how much it's holding, guys? 40%. Together with one or more subsidiary companies, how much? 60% of 40%, 24%. At its own is 40%. Together with one or more subsidiary, 60% of 40%, 24%. So overall, how much, guys? 60 plus 20, 40 plus 24, 64%. Got it? Now one more question I am going to ask you. So yeah, 40 plus 24. I had written 54, sorry, it's 64. Direct plus indirect interest, both I should take. How much of S2 I am holding? Directly 40, indirectly 60 into 40, 24. Totally 64%. Same thing we have written it here. 40 and 24, 64. Now another question. H is holding 60% in S1. S1 is holding 60% in S2. H is holding 0 in S2. Question number 1. Is S1 a subsidiary of H? Yes. Is S2 a subsidiary of S1? Yes. Is S2 a subsidiary of H? H is directly holding how much? 0. Indirectly holding how much? 60% of 60%. Directly holding how much? 0. Indirectly holding how much? 60% of 60%. Indirectly, if I am holding 60% of 60%, my dear friends, this will be 36%. So ideally, no. Ideally, the answer is no. 60% of 60%, ideally, no. However, see the definition. A company shall be deemed means assumed. Company shall be assumed to be a subsidiary of the holding company, even if the control referred to in subclause 1 or subclause 2 is of another subsidiary company. So this simple rule, what does it say? Subsidiary of a subsidiary company is equal to subsidiary of holding company. Subsidiary of a subsidiary company is equal to subsidiary of the holding company. We know when A is greater than B and B is greater than C, then A has to be greater than C. No, same logic. When A is greater than B, B is greater than C, then A has to be greater than C. Similarly, if A is holding B, B is holding C, which means A is holding C. That's why they have given deemed. So here, what is the rule? However, subsidiary of a subsidiary is deemed to be subsidiary of holding company. Subsidiary of subsidiary is deemed to be subsidiary of holding company. Got it? Subsidiary of a subsidiary company is deemed to be subsidiary of the holding company. If that be the case, and guys, company includes body corporate. Company includes body corporate. So which means what? An Indian holding company can have a foreign subsidiary. Foreign holding company can have Indian subsidiary. Indian holding company can have foreign subsidiary. Foreign holding company can have Indian subsidiary, doesn't matter. This is also included. Subsidiary of a subsidiary is a subsidiary. And company includes body corporate. So what is body corporate? We discussed that time. Body corporate means a foreign company. So Indian holding company can have foreign subsidiary. Foreign holding company can have Indian subsidiary. What is an associate company then? If one company X, let's say, is having something in A, then A is called as associate company. If some company X is having something in company A, then A company is called as associate company. What is that something? That something is called significant influence. Significant influence. So guys, here total share capital and all is not there. Delete it. I don't know why they have given it wrong. It has been amended. So it is 20% of the total voting power. What is significant influence? Greater than or equal to 20% of the total voting power. So my dear friends, if one company has greater than or equal to 20% of total voting power and less than or equal to 50% of the total voting power, then my dear friends, it is called as associate. The moment it crosses 50% of total voting power, then it will become holding subsidiary relationship. Holding subsidiary relationship. This is the concept of associate company. At least 20% of the total voting power. At least 20% of the total voting power. A Limited is a public company and holds 23% of share capital in B Limited and 15% share capital in C Limited. So in B Limited, since they are holding 23%, it is an associate company. Whereas in C Limited, it will not be associate as the required 20% is not there, only 15% is there. And hence there is no significant influence. There is no significant influence. This listed company, slight changes are there. Show you. Listed company means a company which has any of its securities listed in the stock exchange. Securities means what, guys? I told you, equity share capital, preference share capital, bonds, can be debentures, many things. This is the change. Such classes of companies which have listed or intend to list such class of securities as may be prescribed in consultation with SEBI shall not be considered as listed companies. Now what are those companies? They have not told. They are just telling that SEBI, Security Exchange Board of India, can make certain companies which are listed as not listed also. It is up to them. Such classes of companies which have listed or intend to list such class of securities. They may say, if you have listed, let's say for example, debentures, you are not called as listed company. If you are listed bonds, you are not a listed company. Who can say that? Who can say that? SEBI. You and I cannot say, guys. SEBI, Security Exchange Board of India, can say that this will apply to some cases, that will not apply to some cases, like that. So they may say debentures will not apply, they may say listed companies it will not apply, like that. So if SEBI says so, then we have to follow. Now what part of that is not, what has SEBI told, etc., is not part of your examination, so leave it. That is there for CA Inter, not for you. Anyway, but this is still okay. Any of its securities listed on a recognized stock exchange. Which are the two recognized stock exchange in our country? Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, NSE and BSE. Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, National Stock Exchange, NSE. Unlisted company means a company other than a listed company, very simple. Scan Steel Rods Limited is a public limited company. Shares are listed in the stock exchange. Hence, Scan Steel Rods is a listed company. Reason for calling it listed because the company and the stock exchange have signed a listing agreement. Recently, Zomato became a listed company. Until then, Zomato was an unlisted company. Now, Zomato became a listed company. Listed where? In the stock exchange. BSE, NSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange. Next, government company. There are so many government companies, no? Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Coal India, GAIL India, SAIL, Steel Authority India Limited, BHEL, BEL. So guys, moving on. This is done. Government company. Government company means any company in which not less than 51%. Guys, subsidiary company was more than 50%. This is what? Not less than means what? Greater than or equal to 51%. Not less than means what? Greater than or equal to 51%. Here what? More than 50. No, here greater than or equal to 51%. Here what? Here it is. Here it was total voting power. Here it is paid up share capital. So government company means any company in which not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is held by central government, state government, or any partly by central, partly by state. Here it is given. So if central government or state government is holding 51% of paid up share capital in a company called G1, G1 is a government company. Partly by CG, partly by SG, all that done. So guys, if this G1, central government, state government holds 51% of PUC in G1, G1 is a government company. G1 has given loan to one more company called G2. And G1 is controlling 6 out of 10 directors of G2. What do I do? Is G2 also a government company? Is G2 a subsidiary of G1? Yes. So you see here guys, and includes a company that is G2, which is a subsidiary company of such a government company G1. Includes a company G2, which is a subsidiary company of such a government company G1. So G2 government company is controlled by G1, so definitely it's a government company. Because subsidiary of a government company is also a government company. On the other hand, reverse relationship guys, CGSG has given 100 crore loan to a company called G1. It has appointed 6 out of 10 directors of G1. G1 in G2 is controlling 51% paid up capital. My dear friends, G1 having 51% PUC in G2. G2 may be a subsidiary of G1, yes. But is G1 first of all a government company? Is G1 first of all a government company? Answer is no. Because for government company, my dear friends, there is no concept of composition of board of directors. For a government company, there is no concept of controlling the composition of board of directors. For government company, what is there? Only paid up share capital. Yes or no? Yes. So reverse relationship is not government company. Other things will be a government company. So foreign company means any body, company or body corporate incorporated outside India. Has a place of business in India, whether by itself or through an agent. Amazon, Walmart, etc. Conducts any business activity in India. Very simple. If you conduct any business activity in India, even through electronic mode, you will be called as a foreign company. You should be a company incorporated outside India. Then there are other companies called Section 8 companies. These Section 8 companies are for specific objects like commerce, art, science, sports, education, research, social welfare, religion, charity, etc. Their intention is not to make profits, their intention is non-profit, NPO, non-profit organization. Those companies are called Section 8 companies. The main object is to promote commerce, science, arts, etc. It will not allow you to pay dividend. Complete prohibition, payment of dividend to its members. It will not allow. So you have FICCI, ASSOCHAM, National Sports Club of India, CII, all these companies. Right? Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI. Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. National Sports Club of India. Associated Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Associated Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And this is Confederation of Indian Industry. Confederation of Indian Industries. Examples. So Section 8 company allows the central government to register such person or association of persons as a company with limited liability without the addition of the words limited. If it's a public company, you'll use the word limited. If it's a private company, you'll use the word private limited. The registrar shall on application register such person or association of persons as a company under this section. On registration, the company shall enjoy the same privileges as that of a limited company. So guys, you are actually using it for a good purpose, but then you play around and start making money, start giving dividends, start looting the public. What will the government do if you start cheating like that? By taking profits, etc., government can withdraw the license, revocation of license. The central government by an order revoke the license of the company where the company contravenes or breaks any of the requirements or conditions of the section fraudulently. Where a license is revoked, where the central government may in public interest order that the company registered shall be amalgamated with another company. They'll say what you are doing is cheating. So what I'll do now is I'll ask you to amalgamate with some other company so that you stop cheating. Practical example, still today it has not happened, but it will happen in the future. Definitely where you are a Section 8 company, you are open for charitable purpose, but you have done one scam. To stop that scam or to ensure that you don't do further scams, I will ask you to amalgamate with some other companies. So whatever I told you, the significant points are here. It is you can go through these points. Same things are there. Go through these points. If you have any doubts after going through, you can ask me later. Then you have Nidhi Company, Mutual Benefit Society. Then you have PFI, Public Financial Institution. This you need to remember. I'll come to dormant company one second. PFI. So 2 clause 72 says the following institutions are regarded as public financial institutions. LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India, established under the LIC Act. Then IDFC, Infrastructure Development Finance Corporation. UTI, Unit Trust of India. And as and when the Reserve Bank, whatever institution they feel that, so these three you would remember. LIC, IDFC, UTI. And anything notified by central government, any company notified by central government will also be part of this deal. So it says conditions for an institution to be notified as PFI. First of all, it should be constituted under a state or central act. Means what? Like LIC, UTI. If it is not as per law, not as per a separate law, statute, then not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is held by at least the central government or state government. Basically, it should be a government company. So government companies can be converted to PFIs, public financial institution. What is a dormant company? Dormant means, my dear friends, inactive. Dormant company means inactive. Where a company is formed and registered for a future project. So guys, there are many things that is Make in India where youngsters, brilliant people want to start certain companies. They have all the means, but they want to complete their education. So can I start off a company as a dormant company? Answer is yes. If I get my intellectual property right, if I get my copyright, etc., trademark in place, I can apply to the government and say, sir, look, in 2 years, I'm going to start this company. I have this brilliant idea. Before somebody steals it, I've already patented it. I want to start the company as an inactive company. Yes. Where the company is formed for a future project or to hold on to an intellectual property, then you can start a dormant company. Or it says if you are an inactive company. So basically, my dear friends, dormant company you can start for two things. One is, first of all, you have already started, but that company is inactive. Second one, you are holding on to a intellectual property right, an idea. You want to hold on to a future asset, an idea. Then you can start a dormant company. So dormant company can be for inactive companies also, or for this, or it's not and. It's or, not and. Inactive company means company which has not been carrying on any business or operation, does not made any significant accounting transaction during the last 2 financial years, or has not filed financial statements and annual returns during the last 2 financial years. So what is inactive company? You have already started the company, guys, but you have not made any accounting transaction. Means not, no business transaction has happened, nothing has happened. When? Last 2 financial years. Or not carrying on any operations. You have not filed the returns. Basically, you need to file financial statements and annual returns with the ROC. You have to keep filing. It's a e-form, electronic form. You need to keep filing. You have not done for how many years? 2 years. Which means you are inactive. So you need to convert this company to a dormant company immediately. That is point number 1. Or you are holding on to a IPR. You will go to the company and say, sir, I am holding on to this intellectual property. In the future, I want to start this company. Okay. Apply for a dormant status. Apply for a dormant status. So guys, dormant company is an inactive company, 1. Or I can hold on to an intellectual property right for a future asset. That is point number 2. So this is called dormant company. And basically there will be no significant accounting transaction. means no business transaction, absolutely nothing. Significant accounting transaction means any transaction other than payment of fees by a company to registrar, payments made to it to fulfill the requirements, allotment of shares, payments of maintenance of office and records, means what, rent, etc. Guys, if I pay rent to my office, that is not called significant accounting transaction. If I pay some fees to the registrar of company, that is not significant accounting transaction. Significant accounting transaction means business transactions. We should make some business transactions, then only it's called as a significant accounting transaction. So these are all the various types. So this completes the concept capsule. The next concept capsule will be about incorporation, MOA, AOA and all those things. So guys, as I told you, without fail, please follow me on unacademy.com/Punarvas Jaikumar. If you don't know what to do, go to any of my videos and check out the link here. Punarvas Jaikumar sir's Unacademy profile. Once you click on that, it will take you here where you will see all my followers. You please follow me and you will see my special classes. Free classes. To enter the class, you just need to put the code PJ Sir Law. If you want a discount, you have to put the code PJ Sir Law. If you want this, you have to just put the code PJ Sir Law. Very, very, very simple, my dear friends. Extremely simple. And also, if you see here, any combo subscription or intermediate plus, and we have the iconic for CA Foundation and intermediate, all you need to do is just pick a plan. And once you say pick a plan, in this referral code, all you need to do is PJ Sir Law and magic. You will get 10% off. So this is all you need to do, my dear friends. Very, very simple. Thank you so much for watching this video, my dear friends. Please, please, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon, because any important video released by me or any of the educators on this CA Foundation and Academy English channel, you will get a notification. Please like this video, share with among your friends, and also please leave your comments in the comment section. If you want to watch any special class of mine on the Unacademy platform, the code is PJ Sir Law. If you want to buy any product, the code is PJ Sir Law to get a 10% discount. Please download the Unacademy Learners app, and in the special class you can also get all the notes as well. You can download. On that note, see you until next time, my dear friends. Love you all. Bye, my CA warriors. Cheers.